Hello, welcome back. We got wet episode number 10, welding engineering topic, and I'm going to say the title of this episode will probably just be how better to place a weld bead placement and like your weld layers. Recently did a video on visual testing and examination, and comments on that video kind of sparked interest on this, and a viewer kind of was wondering, well, how are there different ways? I was taught one way, and I guess this video is to say that it's not black and white. There are lots of different ways that you can go about this, and I'm just going to go over a few different scenarios. Alright, so first thing here, fillet welds and the bead. So really this is going to be for multiple pass fillet welds only, because there's only kind of one way to put in a single pass fillet, let's be honest there. So I'd say this first one that I'm going to say, it can be done pretty much all positions. So what you do is, say with a multi-pass, you have your first weld bead, and then, I mean, depending on your orientation, this is whichever leg, if you know, vertical or overhead, and then you end up, you put in your second weld bead, and then you put in, say, your third weld bead here. And I'd say with this type of scenario, I mean, we can keep going out further, you know, 1, 2, and then 3 or whatever. But with this particular scenario, the idea is that for the majority, and this really depends on what the weld sizes that you need if you can do this, is that all of these beads are relatively the same leg size or throat, whichever, if you're in metric or not, and it can be done in all positions. So I think of this as traditionally the way that it's taught. I'm going to go just on this side here, and I'm going to call this one the, I'll call it the road less traveled. I mean, you may end up seeing this one a lot, but it's not really a common, because it's not something that you can do in all positions. I'd see it in the 1F. It really shouldn't be done in the 2F. You'll see it in 3F, maybe 4. So in this one, you start off with your regular first bead, and then this is also commonly referred to as stack welding. So then your second bead goes over top of that, or so first layer, second layer. Then you do a third one if you want. If you need more throat and more leg size, you know, you can do a third one over top of that. Like I said, this isn't really a common thing, because it's definitely a vertical up and vertical down type deal, so your 3F, and then your 1F, yes, it's something you'll see. You don't see it commonly, not so much in a 4F, and it's very bad practice if it was done in a horizontal or a 2F position, just because you have a lot of gravity issues with doing a weld like that. So then over here, I guess I'm going to go ahead on this side and it's not traditional. I don't. I'll just say non slash traditional, because it's really, this one's going to be an either or thing. It's and I'm going to say, when you put your first bead in, I'm going to say that, okay, if you can see that this bead is larger than this one first bead, or this first bead or pass, and the single size that a single pass can be is going to be derived by the code and your qualifications for the weld and all sorts of different things. So that's something you have to think about as far as if you can even go this route. But the idea here is that you've got one really large one, and you're going to come back with, say, 3 smaller ones on top of it, and I could have made those a little bit larger and got about the same leg size, same throat size as these ones. But so that's something else you'll see, is like most traditionally, I think you see 1 and then 2, and then maybe another 2, or start going 3. But every so often you do see like 1 really big one, and then 1, 2, and 3. And again, this is depending on what type of leg size you end up with. It may be that you have to have a multi-pass weld because your required leg size is larger than you can do by code, yet it's small that you don't want, say, the 3 equal ones. So say you might end up putting in a small first pass and then a slightly larger second and third pass, just so that you can get that required leg size. So there's just some different ways for fillet welds that you can go about. So I would say this one, and this one are all positions. You know, you can do all positions. With those. This one, however, because of the way you're putting it in, gravity is going to affect it. Not a common thing for a horizontal fillet weld.
Alright, thank you for watching this first video on the bead placement of fillet welded, and look forward to part 2 coming soon. It'll be involving more about groove welds. Thank you.